Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, we welcome you to another episode of the Big Biz Show, live inside the Loft 100 studios here in San Diego. As we like to say, we up in your business. That's right. We are Costa, Godwin, and Sully.
Whatever happened to Big O Howdy to you?
Well, we pivoted that day, to start 2026.
Because you realized that you were doing a trademark infringement on the Howdy Doody show?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Their lawyers, contacted me and they said, I will change.
Are you? Have you been watching anything prior to the big game, as they say?
Oh, God.
Are you stoked?
Do you
what
realize
are you rooting for?
Do you realize that Mike and I used to be able to call it Super Bowl?
We did.
We did.
Yep.
But then we were at you were at Mighty 690.
Yep.
And I was at News Radio 600 Kogo.
Yep. Same
building. And we got an edict coming down from J-Core.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, or Clear Channel, one of the
right.
Saying that you can no longer use the name Super Bowl in promoting the game.
Yeah, and helping them promote their game.
Yeah, you'd have to call it the big game.
The big game.
We're having a big game contest for this Sunday's big game.
That's right. That's right.
Because they weren't paying for it, or because they didn't.
We weren't paying them for it.
We weren't paying the NFL.
We were paying the licensing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I remember you could talk about the Super Bowl, but you could do no promotion whatsoever. Hey, be sure to listen to our broadcast after the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Be sure to listen after the big game.
I could say, and I'm sure I said this to you on there at one point, Sully, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl?
I wouldn't answer.
But
they come after you?
No, but you could say Super Bowl.
No, I didn't say anything because I thought
would
be in trouble.
Yeah, but you'd sit there for a second and go,
yeah.
I'm sorry, big game. But now, like, hey, Domino's Pizza. Get your pizza for the big game.
Oh, right.
Yeah, right.
When I was a big mom blog influencer, I couldn't say Super Bowl when I was posting about it.
Yeah,
Something
big game.
about the cheese dip I was
And they will find you. If they know you said it, they will find you.
Let's go to Howie Font, our analyst out of New York City, because he's going to talk about short positions. I want to know who's shorting which team in the big game this weekend. Who are you thinking, Mike? Who are you with?
I think it's going to be Seattle. Seattle with a bullet.
That's what I think.
Yeah. Just a
do you
better
care?
all around.
I mean, do you have a skin in the game?
No, because they both won Super Bowls before. I wanted the Bills.
Hey, Howie, what is that website you use that is the options website that basically bets on everything from the president?
Polymarket.
It's Polymarket. What's Polymarket saying about the big game, so to speak?
Let's see. I don't have that up.
Check it out the next day or two.
Their legs, right?
Well,
Trevor Noah even talked about Polymarket on the Grammys. Did you see that? He made a random joke about Polymarket.
No.
It's everywhere.
We were I want to talk about short sellers capitulating. You can't sell your house before you own it. You can't sell your car before you own it, but you can sell stock before you own it, and it's called shorting a stock. And the reason that they allow it, and this is how it works: you borrow the shares that you don't own them. Okay, you sell the shares that you borrowed. So now you got cash in your account. You got to deliver the shares back in a couple days. Hopefully, the cash in your account is worth more than what you have to buy them back for. So you're basically betting against the stock, right? Mm-hmm. It's basically a way to make money on the way down, just like you make money on the way up. That was really sort of the simplistic way to talk about it. But the danger in short positions, see, when oil is going down or gold is going down, I've made a fortune in shorting stocks like IAU, GLD, USO, because the trend is your friend. You can typically, get in and out quickly.
Who shorts and how do you even know to do it?
Call your broker and say, I'd like to sell short X amount of shares of USO, and so they will sell short. Okay. In other words, you don't have the shares, so you're short the shares. Okay. You're lacking of the shares.
You just you wake up one day, I want to make some extra money today.
Well, market's going down. Market's going down, so you want to try to make money on the way down too. So you're going to bet against.
But explain the risk.
Yeah. So here's the deal. So if you buy a stock for $100, how much can you lose?
$100.
Right. If you short a stock,
I got it right,
at $100, and it goes down, you can make some money. What happens if it goes up?
Oh boy,
you're screwed.
There's no such thing as the infinity. I believe is the highest, right? And Howie, isn't that what's called a short squeeze when you can actually create buying into a short position that where it causes the shorts to have to buy in to get out of their position, right?
Short selling is a strategy done by active investors mostly. You have to or speculators in the worst case. But what we're talking about now is hedge funds and things like that. And you have infinite risk technically. They watch all the time. They have stop loss orders. So if it goes up 10% higher than what they purchased, then they just get out of it immediately. But yes, a short squeeze, that's when you're looking for someone to buy back to close your short position, and there's no one willing to sell to you. You have to keep raising the price that you're willing to pay.
So you're paying more and more than what you got for it, right? That's a short squeeze. That's the danger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, by the way, the big short was, of course, happened during the mortgage crisis when that private equity firm bet against the U.S. housing market, and nobody else would. When they looked inside what was inside of those mortgage-backed securities and realized there's a bunch of C paper that were about to implode, they bet against it, and it was one of the biggest short. I think it was the biggest short windfall. I think they put up $500 million, and they get $4.5 billion win. It was a crazy thing, and all of them felt bad about it because they had you are basically betting against it. What's happening now in the market though? Are short sellers capitulating now? Because it certainly seems that way.
Yeah, so the market's been on quite a run, and to sell short, like we've been saying, you're accumulating losses. Your position's the money that you put in is disappearing as the market goes up. So short sellers, usually are a part of the market. They're about 15% of the volume, but now it's coming down, and over the last 2 years we've been under 10, and I'm mentioning it.
Well, there's not much to bet against. I think that's really the story, right?
There's not much to bet against, and it's too risky. And you have a new kind of cohort of retail traders that we've talked about on the show before that will buy every single dip. So the question is, what's going to actually put fear into retail? Because Liberation Day didn't. The market dropped. Everyone bought back. COVID, the market dropped by a third, but it was only for like 2 weeks.
Well, what's interesting though is how between 2018 and 2022, what was the average short position? You said 15%.
Yeah, 15%
of total trading.
Yep.
So what that means is, here's a typical example. If you're getting killed at the gas pump, go buy a share of Texaco, right? You're mitigating your losses by.
Right.
Does that work with Starbucks too? Because I drink a lot of Starbucks. Do I need to buy Starbucks stuff?
Actually, like if you feel you're paying too much at the gas pump, then go invest in the gas company and make a couple bucks there. The point is you're mitigating your risk. If a short squeeze occurs when a lot of people bet against a certain asset or certain stock, okay? And then the market goes the opposite direction, and those short guys are squeezed out of their position by having to buy into the market when they're actually. See, what makes a stock go up? There's only one thing: more buying than selling. Okay, what makes a stock go down? More selling than buying. If you're shorting a stock, you're counting on more sellers. If the buyers show up, you're in a little bit of trouble. And the problem is, again, you can only lose $100 when you buy a $100 stock, but you can lose all of it if you short the wrong stock and get squeezed. And I can't give you an example of any time that's happened, but I think that's good news, though. I think an open-air indicator, right, Howie, says that if they're capitulating.
It is usually an indicator. The one thing I will put a note, a little asterisk says, if there's lower than average short selling, then you don't have as optimal price discovery, so you can get some weird, wonky things happening in the market. So maybe more volatility. We'll see.
So Howie, in a nutshell, if you're gaining a lot of weight, buy McDonald's, right?
Yes,
that works.
Great advice. That is.
I want to know who to short in the Super Bowl. All right, Howie.
It's our Big Biz Show. Market analyst Howie Font. All right, keep it right here. A lot coming your way on this wonderful episode. Don't go anywhere. Loft 100 Studios, the Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the company's profile profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyandgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
Big Biz Show continues live from the Loft 100 studios here in sunny Southern California. They are always along for this crazy ride. Best in the business right there. Day Trader Trio. Love them because you can't hate them. You got to love them. Back here at the bar, it's Costa, Mary Godwin, and Sully.
And of course, our good friends that are merging AI into the real estate business, of course, our good friends at reAlpha Tech.
Mike Logozzo, CEO of reAlpha Tech Corporation. Their ticker symbol is AIRE. Mike, always great to have you here on the Big Biz Show. How is your Tuesday faring, sir?
Well, I can tell you, he's here wounded because he was sick yesterday.
Uh-oh.
Just for us, he's coming out of the out through the ashes. Look, I got to ask you, after the definitive agreement to acquire InstaMortgage, a number of things happened in terms of visibility for you guys. And for the people that haven't seen you before, Mike, I want you to kind of go through kind of soup to nuts what you guys do and why that was such an important move. Because I think if you think in terms of what's happening right before the spring home buying season, your timing couldn't have been better, could it?
No, Sully, and thanks again for having me on. For those who haven't met me before or seen me on the show, Mike Logozzo, CEO of reAlpha, what we've done is we've built a vertically integrated home buying platform that is powered by AI and designed for people. So if you take the traditional way a home buyer buys a home, they hire a realtor, they do shopping, they have to get pre-approved for mortgage, then go through a mortgage lender, and then eventually through a title company. What we've done is we've essentially bundled that all together on one platform where you can get all of those services. And because of the efficiencies that we have through AI and the different types of tools that we use, we offer rebates back.
Mike,
so it's a win-win for everybody.
Mike, because of what you're bringing to the table, are you literally cutting down on paper, time,
human capital?
Angst? Yeah, human capital, I guess is a great way to say it.
Yeah, I would say it's more the human capital and the handoffs.
Okay.
So, everybody has to, in a current state, right? They're going through a realtor who has a customer acquisition cost, and then a mortgage broker or a lender who has a customer acquisition cost, and then a title company.
Yeah.
When you own the whole process, that CAC is really one. And you start to divide that up. And then in addition to the customer acquisition cost, there's the time cost as well. So because we have one integrated CRM, for example, you could have the person go all the way through the process, and somebody in title knows where they are in mortgage, and somebody in mortgage knows where they are in realty. And it just makes the whole process more seamless for the customer as well.
Hey, Mike, is InstaMortgage sound as good or is as good as like Instacart, where it's is that as simple? Is it as simple as it sounds?
I love the name. I really do. There definitely was appeal when we were looking at companies to acquire. And Shashank, who is the CEO of InstaMortgage, he brings a wealth of experience to the team, or he will bring a wealth of experience. We signed a definitive agreement with InstaMortgage back in December, but we're currently going through that 90-day regulatory and licensing transfer process. So we're looking at in Q1 having them, set up and ready to go. InstaMortgage is a game changer for us because we were doing mortgage brokerage services. This also gets us into the mortgage lending space as well. So it makes the process even more seamless for a customer. It gives us additional margins also on the mortgage. So, it's a great from an investor standpoint, looking for revenue growing companies like us.
Hey, Mike, so I bought my last house, I think 6 years ago. there were certain pain points there that were a lot different than was, maybe the 10 years prior to that. What are the current pain points for home buying?
I would say, the pain points are a lot of times people feel like they have to go through the necessary evils of the way things exist today. So they know they have to hire a realtor. They know they have to get pre-approved for the loan going through somebody else. But what we've done is we've tried to streamline it and make it as easy as possible for them. So, utilizing AI from like an onboarding standpoint. So like our loan officers, when documents come in, the AI assistant goes through and scans all of the documents and puts them in the right order and looks to see whether or not there's documentation missing or there's an error, and they could turn around the feedback so quick that our loan officer can go ahead and get that corrected. And we're getting to the point to where we could do things a heck of a lot faster than going through the traditional process, which ultimately benefits the customer at the end of the day.
Mike Logozzo is CEO of reAlpha Tech Corporation, ticker symbol AIRE. Mike, when my dad went out and bought his house when he was young, you got to make sure the front door works, the upstairs bathroom sink is running clear water, not rusty water. How have home buying, habits, or in my dad's case, tics, changed since you got in this business?
I would say that customers, for the most part, have gotten a lot more savvy with information. And, I came from the car buying experience at BMW, and there was a point in time where the car buyers, all of a sudden they got access to tons of data, and they were able to essentially know what it cost to build the car, and they were coming in there, they were coming in to finance or negotiate their financing, on the car. And, home buying is getting to the point now where, these home buyers, they have access to a lot of information, but maybe they didn't know where to find it all. And having, companies like us that have AI that could kind of know where those data sources exist and kind of bring them in and aggregate it and have them make informed decisions. I mean, that's really the game changer there. And then having the ability to streamline the process is also a game changer as well. There's physical things that you still need to do. Like, for example, if you want to go tour a home, you need to have a licensed realtor representing you.
Yeah.
Until the drone starts helping us with that, right? I'll tell you, you turned out to be the smartest guy in the room when you did that preview acquisition back in November, because that'll help you guys expand to multi-cities, as your press release says. Mike, can't wait to get to you next week. I want to talk to you a little bit about your roadmap to getting expansion going, because according to the press release just a couple days ago, it looks like you're halfway there or better than that.
Mike Logozzo, CEO, reAlpha Tech Corporation, AIRE, the ticker symbol. We are ticking along right after this. Lots more to come your way right here on the Big Biz Show. Do not go anywhere. In over 175 countries and all the ships at sea, you can hear us on the American Forces Radio Network. And as always, shout out to our brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces. Shout out to the Day Trader Trio right there. No lessons, self-taught, best in the business.
Look who we have here. We have a very special guest. Kelly Cardenas is in the studio.
CEO, Vibe Consulting, website Kelly Cardenas, CARDENAS.com. Kelly, what's happening?
How are you doing?
Living the dream, surviving the nightmare.
What does the rehumanization of service mean? What does that mean?
Well, it's taken the focus and putting it back on people. Like I consult with a couple of multi-billion-dollar businesses, and what's nuts about them is they're the same as somebody who makes a couple of $1,000s a year, and it's people. And once you build the people, then everything is off to the races.
I like how you say what is left after you leave, right? That's what's important. What does that mean exactly? Is that because I'm always talking about a seamless customer service experience, which doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. And I think the CEOs, I think the CEOs don't know that. I think let's say that I'm taking my staff out to lunch, okay, and we're going to go to the XYZ place, and there's a valet there. The fact of the matter is, when the guy comes to my door, and not Chris or Mary or some other female's door first, it's just bad manners. But the CEO doesn't know that. But this is supposed to be a high-ditch place. I got a valet there. And then by the time you get inside, they're acting like they're doing you a favor. what is it? Is it called a hostess stand?
Hostess stand.
Mm-hmm.
Is it called hostess?
Hostess.
They call it
Host stand.
Yeah. Host stand.
Anyway, so
The
don't you think there's a
stewardess stand?
disconnect between what CEOs think's happening and what's actually really happening? Because I'm kind of the point where I'm tired of paying for. I mean, listen, I'm so inconsistent about this because I'll go fly somewhere exotic for a crazy vacation every 5 years, but then I'll bitch about a 19-cent can of peas. Okay, I mean it's right. So I'm sort of tired of paying for something I'm not getting.
Yeah.
Don't you think? I mean, I may as well just be going to a diner if I'm going to get that kind of service. Don't you think there's a disconnect between what the CEO thinks happening or the board of directors thinks and actually happening? And how do you solve that?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is to be present in the moment. And once you're present in the moment, then you create memories, right? And so we just went to the La Paloma Westin in Tucson. And we showed up, and as we're getting out of our Uber, before we even got to the trunk, a guy named Charles James approaches us, says, Mr. Cardenas, Mr. Horgan, it's a pleasure to see you here. Now, I didn't say anything. No one knew my name.
Wow.
He had already researched us, found our pictures on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and I love that. But I don't expect that level, though. I want the modicum of service at this point.
Well, let me give you
maybe that's the problem. Maybe we should demand better.
Let me give you the opposite side of it, though. Just recently, I took my son to get his brakes fixed on his e-bike. I take it there. I had got him done 3 weeks before. The brakes continue to squeak, but I couldn't get the bike there. So I go back and I tell the guy, and he said, "Oh, well, you're going to have to buy this again." And I said, "Well, wait a second. You are going to make me pay more."
Yep.
To fix the problem you were supposed to fix. And he said, "Yeah, that's the way it is." And I looked, and the owner came out, and I thought the owner was going to take care of it. And the owner says to me, he goes through the scenario, and then he looks at me and says, "There must have been something that your son did to cause this to happen."
But isn't that funny? So,
and
what
that's
did you
a memory.
say?
Well, for me, I said, you're willing for $70 to not only lose me as a customer, but also lose the network that I'm going to talk to. That's a negative memory. And I want to focus on those positive memories, the Charles James of the world. But what I found was with La Paloma, I didn't realize this, but the CEO of HMAlpha, which is that multi-billion-dollar company, that CEO only talks at his conventions about the positive things that people are doing that have nothing to do with the finances.
Right.
And that's where that culture came from.
Right.
Because he probably does that with his team.
Sure.
Knows their name.
Well, I mean,
Absolutely.
right?
isn't
And
there
I watched him do it.
Yeah.
There's certain brands that, like, for Mike's sake, I'll just use fast food brands. In and out, you're going to get service, right?
Greatest
Chick-fil-A, right?
Greatest customer service on earth.
Right.
You know, we've talked about empowering your employees.
Allegedly.
And so one of the best brands I would say is Trader Joe's, their service,
Same
their
thing.
customer service. And a guy stuffed my reusable bag too, and it was one I paid for, and I liked the bag, and it broke. And he's like, "You know what? Let me see if I can get you a new bag." And so the
You walked
manager
over to
came
the lady
over.
next door, just snagged one of
Yeah,
hers.
exactly. Gave me a 99-cent bag, but I'll tell you, he said, that's not a rule here. He
Right.
just was so empowered to make the customer feel good that he made it up on the spot. And then they said, yeah, and I got a free bag.
You know, I got a problem with Trader Joe's though, because one time I asked if I could ring the bell, and they said no, it's only for Trader Joe's employees.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to
Bad memory.
You gotta treat them
No, but I mean,
So Kelly, you bring that into the leadership talks with the Vibe Room and stuff like that. Talk to people that who haven't seen you before.
Well, when we just got to present to HMAlpha just recently in Tucson, I spent the 2 days before, or a day and a half before, with all their staff, but they didn't know that I was the guy speaking. So I had memories with all of them, and then I was able to call them and use their name in something specific.
Ooh, what a burn!
And it lit the place
That's
on
cool.
fire, right? And so now it became personal. And
he went undercover as like a.
well, everyone was asking, "Are we opening a lifestyle brand?" Because they looked at me, and I didn't look like all the suits that were there.
Are we opening a lifestyle?
So now we go through, and people are opening up to me. They're talking to me, and we have all these memories. And then I talk about the memories, and now they're engaged because it's about them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think in terms of a political will with organizations that you talk to,
yeah.
Okay, I think they're all going to nod yes. This is what we need. But how do you explain to them that this is going to directly affect their bottom line? Because the one gentleman you talked about that was speaking that talks about all of the things that don't affect the bottom line. They really do affect the bottom line.
Absolutely.
You bring people back. Talk about that for a minute.
Well, I think that people understanding that the culture, I generally will relate it right to the ROI immediately. And if your people treat the people well, then those people are going to talk to more people, and now your marketing budget's going to go down. because now you're not going to have to market as much because your people are going to be out there marketing for you. Your efficiency costs are going to go down. Your training is going to go down. Your the turnover, the employee turnover is going to go down. If you'll be a fan first of your employees and of your brand, then your employees can be a fan first of the guest, and then the guest becomes a fan of yours. And once that happens, we all know it. Like, there's brands that we absolutely love that we wouldn't change even if they did us wrong, because we'll give them a pass.
And I want to push back on something because because there are so many look, if you have belief and no talent, you have an American Idol audition where these people believe that they are the next American Idol, but there's not a chance in hell they're going to be. And so I have to say that power of belief has got to go with some measure of hard work or some measure of obvious talent, does it not? Because I know this comes way back from your parents, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's identifying your purpose, which all of us have the exact same purpose, and that's to be in line with God's will for our life. And then if we identify our gifts, and those are just the things that you're innately great at, that you don't have to work at, and then you just build your life around those things and go give those gifts away to every single person that you possibly can, then magic starts to happen and people start to say, oh, wow, you have a golden horseshoe. It's not that. It's just that I'm giving away my gifts. You have a gift. I've watched you guys. You guys have a gift in this, but you work at it and you give it away to the world. And once the people see the Big Biz Show or they experience Loft 100, like for us, we're doing the Vibe Room again at Loft 100 because of the experience that we had.
Talk about your Vibe Room so people know it and how they can get involved in that.
Well, it began as a live version of our podcast, and what we wanted to do is couple live music, the best music in the world, which is right here in the studio.
Well, let's not go too.
Hey, I'm telling you, just absolutely killed it. We added a stand-up comedy because everyone told us that we couldn't, and then we said, let's have the greatest interviews, but the focal point was the person sitting next to you in the room that could shift everything in your life.
When's your next one? Can people watch live, or you post them afterwards?
We might do it live, but it's March 11th here at Loft 100 Studios, and I hear that Sully and Costa are actually going to be here, possibly.
I just checked the calendar. We're both free.
Oh, really?
Kelly Cardenas, CEO, Vibe Consulting.
I'm going to see this for myself. I really do. I want to come by and watch.
The website is kellycardenas.com, CARDENAS.com. All right, keep it here. Much more to come. Big Biz Show rolls on right after this. Loft 100 Studios, the Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyandgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
Big Biz Show. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, audio, video, or both. Thanks for being along for the ride. We come to you live from the Loft 100 Studios here in sunny, beautiful Southern California. Beautiful and sunny always. This is Day Trader Trio right there doing their thing. Back here at the bar, it's Costa, Merritt, Godwin, and it is Sully.
Very good. Jim Joyce sent me a text message yesterday. Of course, CEO, inventor of Sigyn Therapeutics, stock symbol SIGY. And he sent me an article entitled, "Scientists Finally Know Why Kidney Patients Die of Heart Disease." And we texted back and forth, but this is really exciting for what they're doing here.
Yeah.
Jim Joyce joins us here on the Big Biz Show. Again, CEO of inventor as well, Sigyn Therapeutics, CIGY. Jim, at first I thought you were going to come on the show and moan that your Denver Broncos, who you played for, lost in the AFC Championship. It's good to know we're talking about your company.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. It was it was a good year for the Broncos.
It was. It's also a good year for Sigyn Therapeutics. Talk about what's going on.
Well, quite simply, we've established a pathway into treating cardiovascular disease. And this is the number one cause of death. In the United States, it's been the number one cause of death for more than a century straight. So it's a major problem in healthcare. And quite simply, current drugs to treat cardiovascular disease, such as statins, they're single target drugs. And these drugs have the ability to reduce what are known as major adverse cardiovascular events by about 25%. But it's been discovered, and then with products approved through FDA, that you can increase reduce the incidence of major adverse cardiovascular events by up to 75 to 90% with devices that can remove multiple targets. And that's what we're doing. We're advancing a device called cardiodialysis. It addresses lipoproteins that transport cholesterol. It addresses inflammatory factors that fuel the progression of cardiovascular disease. But then, as Sully mentioned, there was a great article in the Washington Post over the weekend related to the discovery of circulating particles that are released by failing kidneys into the bloodstream that are toxic to the heart.
So Jim, real quick, just to, in layman's terms, it means the kidneys are releasing something into the bloodstream that's damaging the heart. Simple as that, correct?
Yes, that's exactly correct.
And so as that relates to what you're doing, it's like right in your wheelhouse. I mean, it's yet another key selling opportunity for you in terms of FDA, in terms of efficacy, in terms of another therapy inside of this therapy.
It's quite important. Historically, with cardiovascular disease, there was a belief that lipoproteins transporting cholesterol were a primary driver. But today we know that inflammation, these inflammatory factors, are a secondary driver of cardiovascular disease, and they can cause progression even in individuals with controlled cholesterol levels. So broad spectrum targeting is crucially important. And as we continue to learn about new discoveries of things that are inducing cardiovascular disease, the understanding that a device can remove a broad spectrum of these targets effectively just continues to support the premise that we're advancing here at Sigyn Therapeutics.
Jim, is it accurate to say, and I don't know if I read this from you or read this elsewhere, that about 70% of dialysis patients end up dying of cardiovascular disease, not from the kidney part of it, but from the cardiovascular part of it, correct?
Yeah, this is our major target audience initially. And our focus is working with the dialysis industry. There are two major players that control about 75% of the market. That's DaVita and Fresenius Medical Care. And as you mentioned, approximately 67% of their patients die from cardiovascular disease. They're at high risk because during their normal dialysis treatment, it creates an inflammatory response that over time just creates this chronic loop of inflammation that accelerates cardiovascular disease. The ability to treat these patients and extend their lives can have a major impact in industry. You can calculate based on the nationwide networks of Fresenius and DaVita that each 100 days of extended lives of their patient population, that's worth about $3 billion in top line revenues.
Wow. Jim, I can't recall, is this cardiodialysis treatment, it is administered at the same time as the dialysis, is that correct?
That's exactly what we'd be doing in dialysis patients, is including our treatment in series during the regularly scheduled dialysis treatment. So it's extremely convenient. And we have this benefit of knowing that there is an FDA-approved device called lipoprotein apheresis. These devices have dual mechanisms of action, the ability to reduce lipoprotein A and LDL-C, which is the target of statins. But these devices have been demonstrated, as published by the American Heart Association, that they can reduce major adverse cardiovascular events by 75 to 95%. Now, if you compare that to the current standard of care with LDL reducing statins, that's a remarkable improvement in patient outcomes and remarkable improvement in patient benefit. Unfortunately, these devices, their availability is limited, but if they were broadly available, these devices could save hundreds of thousands of lives each year. So we're advancing our technology on the global infrastructure of dialysis machines, which are already located in more than 7,500 dialysis clinics in the U.S. alone.
Jim Joyce, CEO, inventor, former Denver Bronco, Sigyn Therapeutics Incorporated, ticker symbol SIGY. Jim, always great to visit with you. Can't wait to have you again on the program.
You're going to see a lot more of this guy.
Oh, yeah, big time. He's also a very big man physically. All right, much more to come. Big Big Show right after this.
It's just creepy. You're afraid of him.
You're having a great day. We certainly are. Thank you for being along for the ride known as the Big Biz Show. We're live in sunny Southern California inside the Loft 100 studios. Those three gentlemen right there, the Day Trader Trio, they are always live. Best in the business, no less than self-taught. Of course, back here at the bar, it is Costa, it is Marybert Godwin, it is our faithful leader, Sully.
I got an email today. And so Steve Weisman, let's pull Steve up. Steve Weisman, of course, from Scamicide.com, wrote The Truth About Avoiding Scams, Identity Theft Alert, and about 11 other books, who is an expert as a law professor at Bentley University out of Boston. Oh, look at the
ready.
Look at the sweatshirt.
Oh, man.
Listen, Steve, you're going to love this. As I'm in a meeting with Mary today, 15 minutes before the show, this comes across through BigBizShow.com. Hi there. I'm writing to seek your assistance in a matter arising from a recently completed project. The original contract sum has been fully dispersed to the contractor. I'm left with the over-invoiced amount in an account in the United Kingdom. I seek your cooperation to receive this fund on my behalf for an onward profitable venture in your country. The proceeds will be discussed upon receiving your response. Kindly confirm your willingness to assist your earliest convenience by emailing tom777@collector.org for details. Thank you for your consideration. We await your speedy SPEEEDY response. Best, Tom Rich, Tom RCH. So is this? I've never seen this one before. It's coming through a form that you have to fill out on the Big Biz Show website.
Oh wow!
I mean, I know that this doesn't surprise you, but this is the latest in
People fall for that.
This is the latest in the
Nigerian email letters.
Nigerian email scam, right?
Yeah, no, that one's legit, actually, and you could make a lot of money with it.
What, by sending them out?
Yeah.
So I kind of want to keep this and send back the email saying, yes, absolutely interested.
Do it.
What do we have to do?
Do it.
And we can follow along here.
How long you can string them.
And find out, and then, potentially get law enforcement.
Yeah, that would be interesting. The two things that kind of leap out at me is one with the spelling error. And this is one of the things that we used to look for before, because often when these come from Nigeria or a country where English is not necessarily the primary language, you'd see spelling and grammar errors. But now with AI, it's really easy to send one that looks perfect. So obviously not a good guy. But another thing is how ridiculous these are is often really intentional, because what they do is they don't want to waste time with anyone who isn't totally gullible. So they'll send something this ridiculous, and to the people that respond, unfortunately, they're going to lose some money.
We should make up a fake email address and send it back to him
totally
as an answer. right?
Stephen JJ Weisman, scamicide.com is the website. Steve, talk to us about this Ponzi schemer who was convicted in Georgia. I'm assuming death penalty, right?
Well, depends.
What the heck, Georgia? Yeah, it's kind of interesting. There are a few aspects of it. A guy named Todd Burkhalter, and he was running a classic kind of Ponzi scheme. Stole about $380 million from his clients. He promised these pie-in-the-sky returns that never came. They were supposedly guaranteed, which also should have been a red flag. But one of the things that got me was the SEC started investigating him civilly in March of 2024. He didn't stop actually doing the Ponzi scheme until August. So even after he was being investigated, he was still doing it. But he was taking money for a lavish lifestyle. He also was paying his ex-wife's lawyers. But the key things here is the red flags that people miss. So the two things in a Ponzi scheme is, or any investment, you gotta understand the investment. And frankly, if anyone had even looked into the investments that he was supposedly providing, none of them were registered. So that should have been a red flag. And then you look at the person. He was unlicensed. So you have an unlicensed guy selling investments that are not registered.
I want to know, listen, and I realize, see, my parents would call me if something like that happened. But I mean, I think there's a lot of elderly folks, a lot of young adults that would just, maybe just based upon him being so warm and fuzzy, make that decision. Because I think they're preying on, as you've mentioned before, a very small percentage of the population. But that population is a sure thing, it seems like.
Well, you hit on an interesting thing when you said your parents and the Gen Zs, because both of them are particularly susceptible. They are the two most scam groups. Now, seniors, we have an excuse. There's a part of our brain that deals with skepticism that becomes less viable as we age. There have been a lot of studies about this. But Gen Z, boom, they jump into things, particularly if they see them online, without checking them out, and that's dangerous.
Hey, Stephen, I want to ask about this data breach with Panera Bread, as I am a member of Panera. But I want to talk about also, because sometimes I'll go on to a website and set my password, and I sometimes reuse them, and it'll come up
Panera
and
1 2 3 4.
Yeah. This will say
Ralph's 1 2 3 4.
This email or this password was in a recent data breach. How does this know? Like, what, they're all talking to each other?
Yeah, there's particularly a site called Have I Been Pawned? Just take the A out of pawned. And it's a real good free site that you can go to that accumulates information from all of the data breaches. And people do go there. So yeah, you will find out that a password you've used has been taken in a data breach. And it's another reason why you made a face when you said you reused it. But it's really important to use unique passwords for every account. And an easy way of doing that is taking like a sentence. I don't like passwords. And your Amazon password can be, I don't like passwords, 2 exclamation points, AMA. And you can adapt that to a unique
By the way,
password.
I'm going to be on Amazon in a moment here shopping on your account. Hey, Steve, my question for you is, even if our social or birthday isn't compromised, it's still important, right? I mean, that's no easier and no better, correct? Tell us why.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up, because a lot of people look at like the Panera data breach. And, in this one, it had our names, our email addresses, and our account numbers. And, frankly, we look at that and go, it's not our social security number. It's not something they're going to get a bank account. But what happens is these bad guys will accumulate information and use that for what they call spear phishing. And that is, they will tailor that email or text message to us about something we're involved with, because they know more about us. They gather this data. And so maybe you even get something that relates to the Panera data breach, and they want you to click on it. Or it's something dealing with any kind of a restaurant or anything that you're interested in. The more data they gather, the more likely we are to trust an email that is specifically focused for us. So really got to take these seriously.
Stephen JJ Weisman, he is the Scam Man. The website, scamicide.com. Recently sprayed some Scamicide on my latest flare-up, and everything is fine. All right, that'll do it for this edition of The Big Biz Show. Thank you for being along for the ride.
Taking market share from absorbing junior.
We'll see you next time.